So throughout this final major project, I've looked at 6 different producers, directors, creative products, which includes techniques and styles that I've looked at and researched to benefit my production. So when I initially started researching, I didn't know what I wanted, and then I found I wanted to do a documentary, so off the bat I needed to know what codes and conventions it had and what went into it. Some of the examples were voiceover, the fact that it's fictional, natural sound and lighting, non-diegetic sound, music and soundtracks suited the theme. To get to that point, I did a SWOT analysis and found out what I wanted to get out of FMP. Some other codes and conventions I found were introductions, cinematic shots, a host/voiceover, maybe in a series, interviews of people related to this scene and situation, context so the audience knows what's going on, footage of the event in conversation, archive footage, interview with experts, use of text and titles, and then maybe props. For example, if you're interviewing a doctor, they maybe wear a white coat. Some of the examples that I looked at are these. And it's ones that I enjoyed because they were short and didn't go on too long, and they were recent and made recently, so I took a lot of my inspiration from there. Initially, when I started my research, we were in a group of 4 and we were looking into the gaming industry. So I was researching one of the main focuses, which was Ninja, and the codes and conventions there. One of these was a reflection, mid-research, so we had to change ideas in groups, as if we worked in a 4 we wouldn't be able to show our skills and achieve a high grade, so we spread out into 2 groups of 2. So subsequently we changed what my duo were focusing on, so that research wasn't able to be used. Another example that I looked at was, again, a Vice documentary with all the codes and conventions, suited soundtracks, introduction, a host, voiceover, text. I noted some of these and then included them into my production. Some of these also helped with my visual influences with some of the shots that I wanted to make, as initially I wasn't too sure what I wanted. So part of this was some of my mood board. I looked at the Vice documentary on boy racers, and that showed me what I could do with interviews, what I could have behind it, text, kind of B-roll, that kind of. And then I also, when on set, had a shot list, so I knew what I wanted to do and then researched what other shots they were. It's just made it easier. Research into timelines and what order the normal documentaries went in. So just like a basic storyline, but fiction. We also had to look into how to reference, Harvard referencing YouTube videos, websites. And then I had a survey that I put out to our audience aged 12 to 34, mostly males with some females. Not all the target market have cars, which is good, as the target audience wasn't just for people who had cars and car enthusiasts. 73% of the survey said yes to watching, and the 27% said they don't watch them. After this production, this could change, and we now know that the production should be 5 to 10 minutes long. This is the survey. This just helped us know what our audience was and what they wanted. Another reflection, the research I did, some was primarily the questionnaire. The results were varied, as was aimed at the project itself and to better the documentary that me and my partner Jack are doing. It is useful developing my concept, as it has answered a couple of questions in areas which I was uncertain for. For example, the length of the documentary, and then I looked at some other inspirations of the Vice ones just to see how long they were. Then looked into the type of documentary I'm going to be making, and I'm going to be observational 1, as what we film will be spontaneous and hard to plan, as we went to a car show to film ours. Some other examples for inspiration that I looked at were and these helped for some of the codes and conventions, such as music to match the emotion, location descriptions, a bio of the people, footage of the matter in hand, constant noise, which is one of the things that I forgot to include in my production. It's just helped me know how to go about it, what kit and stuff. So another one of the inspirations that I had was BBC, as they made lots of short documentaries, similar to Vice, but more UK based. And then we got the main inspiration for my documentary, which was the Vice Boy Racers one. So many of the codes and conventions I took from this, so appropriate sound effects, suitable soundtrack, certain context, and then branching off into separate stories that were also related to it. And then another one I looked into, again about automobiles, was the moped gangs. UK bike life of Vice.
When I'm weaving,
and these all helped me know what to actually put into it, because previously I watched them before but didn't really analyse it to the point of how it actually all came together to make my own. So that's what helped me make the storyline and start planning it. Another reflection of my research was that my idea has changed a lot since the beginning, as we initially were a team. The documentary has changed, so the project aims we have can now be achieved. We know what we're on about and what we're going to focus on. It's about boy racers and car enthusiasts. And it's not going to be a short film, as I didn't enjoy this. I'm going to try and pull off a professional documentary. So we're going to be showing the controversy and the illegal side to the local car scene, and try to take a voiceover throughout it. With my production as well, I didn't really know what it was going to be like when making that sound. So I looked into the Boy Racers one and noticed that there was always sound or a narration or sound effects throughout. So that's one thing that I needed to put into mind that made it more professional, as there was always something going on. Throughout my research I had to use the crap test. This was finding out if the information was relevant, if it was timeless, where the source was from, the reliability of it, and if it actually served a purpose for it. And then I had to look into the smart search. As well, I looked into some of the preparation that it takes to get the right interview. So I looked into the fact that you need to communicate with your subject, as when you're there, you've got no kind of chemistry or bond with them. It might be quite hard to say, asking them to move or adjust, or the questions might be a bit stale, so you need to kind of bond with them so you get better answers. And then also you need to be planned to take the notes, take questions, and maybe even have questions to respond to a certain answer, so you can maybe probe it in a way that they'll answer one way and it'll lead you into a different direction of questions. You also need the right location for the mise en scene, and then sound reasons, of course, so you don't want to be in an echoey space. And then you need to be cautious of lighting positions. And then I've got an example of a studio lighting set up, but I won't be needing the studio, so that was fine. And then looking into the different lenses, I use a 50mm, because on this forum there was loads of people backing up the 50mm, saying that it was good, right focal length and depth of field. And I spoke to some of the tutors at college as well, and they said that was ideal for interviews. And then I also used a tie mic or a lavalier mic, as we've tested mics now throughout this year at college. And obviously I didn't want to use the boom mic or anything like that, So the time mark seemed ideal. Just clicked it on. It seems easy to set up. Doesn't take up too much space. It's ideal for the interviews. Lighting is natural lighting because I'm going to be out on set and I'm not having a studio interview, so there's not much I can do about that. I could use a reflector if I wanted to. But like I said, if I was going to do a studio one, I looked into that. For the editing style, I just based it off Vice, but I couldn't really find any documents on it, so it was just from looking at it. So the way that they did it quite fast paced, and then the music, and everything, it seemed that they focused on the mise en scene a lot and just made sure that everything suited it and nothing was ever out of place, and the flow of their edits were, they always kind of suited it. I looked into the BBC one for this tattoo artist, and that one seemed much less professional. So yeah, that was my research for Unit 8.